So you're new to Resolve, or maybe thinking about getting into Resolve, and it just seems like it's pretty complicated. There's a whole bunch of different pages. There's all these different layouts, all these new tools, and like, what even is Fusion, right? Well, consider this video the nice, calm hostage negotiator guy who just ensures you that everything's okay. So when you open up Resolve, chances are you're thrown into an interface kind of like this. Of course, I have a bunch of video clips in here already just because it looks prettier. But you're thrown into the cut page and you're like, what even is a cut page? This makes no sense. And you've heard that Resolve is good for color, and so that doesn't make any sense either. What do I do? How do I use this crazy program? Why is it so, why is it? Here's the real deal. All you really need to touch in Resolve if you're new and you're just trying to do some basic stuff is the edit page. This third one right here. We can click on that. And if you've ever used a different editor, something like Premiere or Vegas or Final Cut, this should look really familiar. Over here on the left, we have our media pool. This is where all of the footage that we're going to use lives. You can import stuff into the media pool by right-clicking and saying import media. You can also just drag things in here from your Finder or Explorer. You can double click on something to preview it here in the source viewer. You can select a chunk by setting an in with I and an O for out. And you can just drag this down into the timeline and you can put clips together to make your movie. Here on the right side is our timeline viewer, and that shows everything that whoever watches your movie is going to see. If we want to adjust some properties of something in the timeline, you can select it and then go up to the inspector right here. And here's where you can adjust properties like zoom and position and rotation and all that stuff. If you want to make something shorter or longer in the timeline, you can grab the edges and shorten them or lengthen them, move things around by clicking in the middle and moving it around. You can split a clip by selecting the razor and clicking in the middle of it. Then you can switch back to your arrow and move things around and trim it just like before. And literally, if that is all that you know, if that is all you understand about Resolve, you can make awesome movies. You don't need to worry about any of these other pages. You don't need to worry about anything fancy. You can put stuff together in the edit page. When you're finished putting your story together in your timeline, you can go up to File, Quick Export, and you can render your movie for YouTube or Vimeo or whatever you want. Super simple. And there's nothing wrong with doing that, especially if it's a project like this, like a gaming project where we might have a face cam and we might have video game footage, and none of these really need to be color corrected. We don't really need any fancy graphics. We don't need to do a whole bunch of sound design or anything like that. It's pretty straightforward. This is totally okay to just use the edit page. And this is really the nice thing about Resolve is it can be exactly this simple. But the good news is that if you do want to get a little bit fancier, if you want to start getting into color correction or start doing visual effects and explosions or animated graphics and all of those things, it's built right into Resolve in these other pages. So really you have the options to be able to just do basic stuff in the edit page and never even worry about these other pages. In fact, you could go up to Workspace and just unclick Show Page Navigation, and you can just pretend like this is all that Resolve does. Totally okay. But when you're ready, you can switch that baby back on and jump in and do some Hollywood level color correction or animated motion graphics or super detailed audio mixing to your heart's content. So there's my encouragement to you if you're just getting started with video production, or even if you're just getting into Resolve, don't get overwhelmed by all the cool features there. You can just use the basics and it's totally okay to do. I think somebody had to say it, okay? And so that's what I'm doing. This isn't even a tutorial. This is just a friend coming to say it's okay. And that rhymed sort of, which is kind of cool. By the way, if you want to learn a little bit more about how Resolve works, we have an Intro to Resolve course. You can download footage, follow along, and I'll teach you all of the cool stuff that Resolve does in a nice, slow, relaxed pace. Oh, baby. It's pretty awesome. So check it out. But for now, why don't you go and find some footage, drop it in the edit page, and just make something cool. Yeah, because that's what it's about. Making cool stuff. and sandwiches.